The Freedom Within Project, Remembering Yourself After Abuse, a compassionate path back to safety, self love, and the woman you've always been beneath that survival. Hey, love, if you're here, it probably means a part of you is tired. Tired of surviving, tired of pretending everything is fine, tired of feeling like pieces of you went missing somewhere along the way. And if that is true, I made this for you. For a long time, I woke up already holding my breath. It wasn't danger anymore, it was the memory of danger living in my body. I'd open my eyes and feel that small knot right under my ribs, wondering what version of me I needed to be that day to keep the peace. And even after the relationship ended, my nervous system didn't know it was over. That's the thing no one tells you. You can leave the situation, but the situation doesn't leave you right away. People around me said, just move on, just forget, stop thinking about him. But my body said, I don't feel safe yet. And until your body believes you're safe, moving on will just feel like another performance. One of the moments that changed everything for me was when I finally realized that I did not miss him, I missed me. And one morning I stepped into the shower and froze. Not because the water was cold, but because I suddenly realized I didn't even know what music I liked anymore. And that's the aftermath of abuse, when the damage isn't just bruises or memories, but it's the quiet realization that you lost pieces of yourself, trying to stay safe. For so long, I had built my entire world around keeping someone else calm, tiptoeing around moods, monitoring my tone, adjusting myself in ways that slowly erased me. And standing there, with the warm water running down my back, the silence felt heavier than the steam in the room. There was no noise, no demands, no one else's emotions taking up space. It was just me and a woman I hadn't spoken to in years. And in that stillness, I whispered to myself, I miss you. The words did not come from heartbreak or longing from him. They came from the part of me that I had abandoned. The soft, bright, curious version of myself who used to dance in the kitchen and blast her favorite songs, dream big, laugh loudly, and trust her own voice. That whisper, quiet, shaky, barely audible, became the beginning of everything. The beginning of coming home to myself, the beginning of rebuilding who I was beneath the pain, the beginning of remembering that I was never meant to dim my light to survive love. So, my name is Rebecca Murdaka, and this is my story. I didn't grow up expecting to become a woman who survived abusive relationships. And it never starts with the big moments, it always starts with small cuts that seem too minor to matter, right? Like we're being called stupid, we're being called ugly, we're being called fat, we're being called worthless. And little by little, that will make you shrink piece by piece. You don't wake up one day in this dangerous relationship. You get walked there slowly by someone who convinces you that their words are normal, their anger is your fault, and that your identity is negotiable. Over time, the emotional abuse shifted into physical control, and that's the day that changed so much for me. I was in a car and I was driving the car. There was a small argument, and all of a sudden, I found hands around my throat while I was driving. No escape, no room to breathe, no way to pretend the situation was anything other than life threatening. And in that moment, my entire life flashed before my eyes. My family, my friends, the future I hadn't lived yet, and the deepest part of me whispered, if you stay on this path, you will not survive it. That day wasn't just the worst day of my life. It was the day that I finally saw the truth. The most dangerous part of abuse is not always the violence, it's how much of yourself you lose long before the violence ever begins. And that's why I'm sharing this story, not for shock, not for sympathy, but because I know what it feels like to be isolated inside a life that looks nothing like the one that you imagined. I know what it feels like to have people tell you to just leave when they have no idea how tangled the mental, emotional, and financial webs became. I know that what it feels like to think that you're alone in carrying something so heavy, too heavy to explain. And this is the seed that created the Freedom Project within. It was born from the moment that I realized no woman should have to rebuild herself in the dark. You deserve a place to reconnect with your identity, your clarity, your strength, long before you're even ready to take the next step. You deserve to know that you're not alone, that you're not broken, and that you're a woman in the process of coming back to herself. And this situation is exactly what brought me to question, what if I stopped trying to fix myself and I started remembering myself? And that question became the seed of the Freedom Within project. So, the real problem that no one names is that people will tell us things like think positive, just forgive, just forget, focus on the future. But when your nervous system is still wired for survival, positive thinking feels impossible. And when you're trying to give forgiveness without safety, it's like bypassing the very real trauma that your body once lived and is still experiencing. Focusing on the future, but you can't focus forward when your body is still braced for the past to repeat itself. And most of the advice that we keep hearing after a painful relationship will stay on the surface. But you cannot think your way out of your body that's still braced for impact. You can't think your way out of it. You have to feel your way through it. And that's why so many of us feel like we're failing at healing because we're trying to solve an emotional injury with logic. What finally helped me wasn't more information, it was compassion. It was learning how trauma lives in the body and how the body with patience can learn to feel safe again. Science calls it regulation, faith calls it peace, and I call it coming home. The beginning of my return was as I started to practice simple grounding and breathing intentionally each morning, and I noticed tiny shifts. At first, it was seconds of calm between waves of panic, then minutes, and eventually my body started to believe me when I said, "We're safe now." That belief didn't erase the past, but it loosened its grips, and with that space, love had room to grow. The love began quietly. It showed up as a gentle self talk, as walks outside instead of self criticism, as permission to rest. And each act of care was like lighting a small candle in a dark, long room. And the more candles I lit, the more clearly I could see who I had been all along. And that's why I created what I now call the Flame Reconnection Method. It is a 5 phase path that helped me move from fear and self blame back into safety, self love, and freedom. It's not about forcing healing or pretending the past didn't happen. It's about reconnecting with the part of you that was never destroyed, only hidden behind and beneath the survival. The Flame Reconnection Method. So we have feel for your safety and awareness, love to get you back for you, loving yourself with self compassion and reconnection. We will awaken your truth and your boundaries. You will get to manifest with alignment and creation naturally and emerge into freedom and embodiment. Over the next few minutes, I'm going to walk you through each phase. Each step will meet you exactly where you are and invites your body, mind, and spirit to remember peace. But before we begin, I would like you to take a moment with me right now, wherever you are, sitting, standing, maybe lying down, and let your shoulders drop. Let your jaw unclench. and take a slow breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. You don't have to do anything else. That one breath is saying, I'm here. I'm safe enough to listen. And that's where healing begins. Not in the future, not in a program, but right here in this breath. You and I are going to walk through this together, and as we do, I'll show you how the same simple process that brought me back to life can help you feel safe, calm, and free again. Let's begin. F is for feel. Safety and awareness. Before anything can change, we have to feel. Not think about it, not analyze it, just allow what's already inside to be seen. For a long time, my body did not trust peace, and each quiet moment made me nervous. Even if things were calm, I'd start waiting for the next wave. That's what survival mode does. It teaches the body that safety is suspicious. So the first step in healing isn't a mindset, it's a relationship. A relationship with your own nervous system. We will have 3 different phases within this feel in order for you to allow your safety and awareness to start coming back. We will set up a daily safety ritual, which will be a quick 2-minute practice you can do anywhere to remind yourself that your nervous system is not in the moment it survived. Breath work, grounding touch, somatic cues, simple, doable, and life-changing. Then we will create a personalized nervous system map for you, and you'll learn the specific signals your body uses to say, I'm overwhelmed, I'm shutting down, or I'm safe. And when you can name the states you're in, you can navigate them. And last, we will help you with your survival patterns. We will help you and turn them with compassion. We will explore why your body did what it did, the freezing, the fawning, the overthinking, and teach your system that it no longer has to carry these roles alone. Learning to listen to your body. Every morning, I started asking my body the simple questions. What do you need right now to know that you're safe? How can I help you feel safe? And sometimes the answer was a breath. Sometimes it was to sit on the floor with my back against the wall until the ground reminded me it was there. Sometimes it was tears. When you give your body permission to speak, it will always tell the truth. And when you listen, even for a few seconds, something ancient inside you exhales. Let's all try that for a moment. Close your eyes if that feels comfortable. Take a slow inhale through your nose. Hold it for 2. And release through your mouth. Notice where your body touches the chair, the floor, or the air. This is regulation. You're not fixing anything. You're simply providing and proving to your body that right now, in this exact breath, you are safe enough to notice. Tiny pockets of safety. They may last a few seconds at first, but that's all the nervous system needs to start rewiring its truth. And those seconds will grow into minutes, and minutes become hours, and one day you catch yourself laughing again and realize peace snuck back in while you weren't watching. Science calls this neuroception, the body's built-in radar for danger and safety. When we practice awareness, we teach that radar to update its map. Faith calls this presence. The moment you remember, you were never truly alone. Whatever language you choose, the result is the same. Stillness becomes possible. Feeling doesn't mean reliving. Feeling doesn't have to mean reliving the pain. It means letting the sensation move instead of staying stuck. Shaking, sighing, stretching, and tears are all ways that the body is clearing out old data. You're not falling apart, you're unfreezing. And each time you breathe with awareness, you tell your system a new story. The danger has passed, I'm allowed to rest. And that story becomes your foundation for everything that follows. When safety begins to settle in your bones, you create space for the next phase of the return for love, which will bring us to love, self compassion, and reconnection. After your body begins to feel safe, the next invitation is love, real, quiet, unconditional love. We will rebuild your inner voice, guided, compassionate practices to shift your self talk from harsh to curious and supportive, one gentle sentence at a time. Love languages for self. You'll discover which forms of tenderness help your system respond best. Is it rest, nourishing food, stillness, movement, boundaries, creativity, warmth? And we will also go through emotional tending. You'll be able to learn to sit with feelings without trying to silence them. And this is where self trust grows. This is where grief softens. For me, this was the hardest part because love sounded simple, but for years I had confused love with pleasing, fixing, earning. And when safety returned, there was space for all the judgment I'd carried to come rushing in. And that's when compassion became medicine. I started small. In the morning, I'd catch my reflection and I'd say out loud, I love you. The first time felt awkward and even embarrassing, but I kept doing it because if I waited to feel worthy before I showed myself kindness, I would have waited forever. Love is not a reward for healing, it's the tool that makes healing possible. The science of self compassion. When you treat yourself with softness, your nervous system stops preparing for the attack. It learns that the person who lives inside you, your body, is on its side. There's science behind this softness. When we offer ourselves compassion, the brain releases oxytocin and endorphins, the same chemicals connected to safety and bonding. Your body cannot tell the difference between someone else holding you and you holding yourself. So every kind word, every gentle breath is a literal signal of safety. I want you to try this with me for a moment. Place your hands over your heart. Feel the warmth beneath your palms. Breathe in and silently say, I'm allowed to love myself here. Breathe out and imagine that warmth spreading through your chest, down your arms, and into your stomach, surrounding your whole being. There's no fixing, there's no forcing, there's just presence. And at first, love may stir grief, and that's normal. When you finally treat yourself with kindness, all the parts that never received it show up hungry. Let them, feed them. You'll notice old memories resurfacing, and with each one, another piece of you starts to step back into the light. Love also means forgiving the version of you who did whatever she needed to survive. She wasn't weak, she was brilliant at staying alive. Now you get to lead with your gentleness instead of fear. When you stop abandoning yourself, you can tolerate relationships. When you stop abandoning yourself, you stop tolerating the bad relationships that required your absence. And over time, I noticed my internal voice changing, where it once said, what's wrong with you? It began saying, you're doing your best. And that single shift changed the way I spoke to others, the people I attracted, the people I carried. Love is not always loud, it's consistent. It's the daily act of choosing curiosity over criticism. And the more you practice it, the more natural it becomes until compassion feels like home base instead of effort. And that will bring us to A for awaken, or truth and boundaries. When safety and self love begin to settle, something new arises beneath them truth. Awakening isn't loud, it's the quiet click of clarity returning the moment you start hearing your own voice again. We will walk you through your truth inventory. identifying what feels aligned, what feels heavy, and what no longer belongs without judgment. We will rewire guilt, learn the psychology of guilt after abuse, and ease it by pairing boundaries with grounding. We will then build your boundaries. Boundaries aren't walls, they're doors with handles on your side. You get to decide who is part of your life. You get to decide where the line is in the sand. For years, my choices came from fear. Will this upset someone? Will they leave if I say no? And when I began to feel safe inside, I started to notice the difference between fear and intuition. Fear was urgent, tight, full of pressure. Intuition was calm and steady and often just a whisper. Learning to hear that whisper was the beginning of the awakening for me. I remember the first time I said no, and I meant it. It wasn't dramatic. Someone asked me for something that felt wrong, and instead of explaining or apologizing, I simply said, "No, that doesn't work for me." My heart was racing, my palms sweated, but after the awkward, I felt taller. And that small act told my nervous system, we protect ourselves now. The power of speaking truth. Truth also means honesty with yourself. Sometimes awakening reveals where you still avoid or overextend. It's not a punishment, it's awareness. Awareness gives you the power to realign. And every time you tell yourself the truth, you build inner trust. And when you trust yourself, other people's approval of you loses its power. Let's try this reflection. Think of one area of your life that drains you. A conversation, a pattern, a commitment that no longer fits. And we're going to place your hands over your chest. I want you to really take a minute to visualize this situation or how it makes you feel. And as you exhale, say silently, I have permission to choose peace over obligation. There's a small piece of science here, too. Each time you act in alignment with your values, your brain's reward system lights up. It literally reinforces pathways that say, this is safety. Boundaries, then, aren't selfish. They're neurological proof that you matter. In my own life, awakening looked like changing what I tolerated. It looked like choosing silence over explaining, solitude over chaos, praying over panic, and slowly my world adjusted. People who couldn't meet that new standard faded, and new ones arrived, calm and kind. Truth reshaped my surroundings without me forcing a thing. The people who are meant for you will never require your silence for you to stay. Your truth will not scare away the right ones. It will filter them. So then this will bring us to manifest alignment and creation. This one is very, very fun. This phase is awesome. Once you feel safe and once you're loved and truth have taken the root, something powerful can then happen. Your life will begin to rearrange around your peace. This is the phase I call manifest. For most of my life, I thought manifestation meant controlling outcomes, vision boards, affirmations, forcing goals into existence. But real manifestation isn't about forcing, it's all about alignment. It's what happens when your inner world finally matches what you want. When I started breathing safely and speaking my truth, things that didn't belong would fall away. It was uncomfortable at first, relationships shifting, routines dissolving, but in that space, they left behind grace. That began to move in, and I noticed small coincidences. The right person calling me, the exact book I needed appearing, opportunities unfolding without me chasing them. That's alignment. Manifestation begins inside your nervous system. When your body feels safe, your mind stops scanning for danger and it can finally look for possibility. You will begin to see patterns that were invisible while you were surviving. Your focus changes from what might go wrong to what if this actually works? And because attention directs energy, your life will start to reflect that new expectation. Peace as creative power. You will have inner calm, and when your energy isn't spent on fear, it will naturally create. You will have a clear vision to begin to see opportunities that were invisible during your survival mode. You will have aligned action. Your action will flow from peace rather than being forced by fear, and everything naturally will unfold. Life will start reorganizing itself around your newfound alignment. Think of it like tuning a radio. When you live in anxiety, you're tuned in that frequency of fear and you'll pick it up more. But when you live in calm, you start receiving signals that match calm. Supportive people, peaceful environments, creative ideas, nothing mystical, just resonance. And in my own life, manifestation looked like confidence returning first. That confidence led me to reach out, to build healthy friendships, to say yes to work that aligned with my purpose. Those simple yeses became the foundation of a new identity that didn't chase love or safety, but carried them. We get to do another little practice. So I want you to close your eyes one more time. Imagine the version of you who feels calm, confident, grounded. See her in the morning. What does she wear? What does she eat? How does she speak? Now, in this moment, breathe as she breathes. You're not pretending, you're rehearsing reality. Manifestation isn't magic, it's just little seeds that you plant of calm and you'll reap clarity. You sow compassion and you'll harvest connection. You choose truth and you will attract trust. And that will bring us to our last phase of emerging. Freedom and embodiment. After safety, love, truth, and alignment comes emergence. The point when what's been growing inside you will begin to show on the outside. Emerge is not about being finished, it's about being present. It's that quiet moment you realize I'm no longer surviving my life, I'm living it. For me, emergence didn't happen in a single revelation, it was gradual. Like a sunrise through the fog, I started waking up and noticing peace before fear. I found myself laughing without analyzing why. And there was lightness in the steps that used to be guarded. I wasn't waiting for the next shoe to drop anymore. That's embodiment, when healing moves from an idea to instinct. You don't have to remember to practice calm because your body already knows it. That's the muscle memory of peace. You'll have freedom in the ordinary. It shows up in how you speak to the barista, how you answer the phone, how you breathe when someone disagrees with you. Gratitude in motion. You'll be taking walks and naming what you see. It can anchor you now because peace only lives in what it is. Emergence also means showing up as your full self again. It's letting others see softness without apology. It's trusting your voice enough to speak even when it shakes. It's realizing you no longer need permission to take up space. So, this is your invitation to begin. If you've been listening and a small part of you is whispering, I want that, listen to her. That whisper is the beginning of change. It's the same voice that spoke to me in the shower years ago and said, I miss you. I understand the protective voices too, the ones that say, I've tried everything, or what if this doesn't work for me, or I don't have time right now. Those are fear's favorite questions, and they're valid. But here's what I've learned. Survival mode is what steals the most time. When you feel unsafe, every decision takes double energy. When you feel calm, clarity saves you hours. So here's my invitation. If something in you is ready, even just curious about what feeling safe could look like, I'd love to sit down with you for a free reconnection call. What to expect? This is not a sales call, it's a conversation, a space where we slow down, where you can exhale and speak without being corrected, hurried, or judged. What we'll explore? We'll look at where your body still holds tension and what it might be asking for. We'll map the first small, gentle steps back towards calm. What you'll leave with: clarity. Whether we work together or not, you will continue this on your own, or we will work together. And either way, you'll have direction and a little more breathing room. I've seen what happens when a woman remembers her peace. Her posture changes, her eyes soften, her relationship shifts because she no longer negotiates her worth. That's not a theory, that's embodiment, and it's what's waiting for you. A year from now, you could look back at this moment and realize this is where the turn began. The day you chose calm over chaos, truth over silence, love over fear. The version of you who feels free is not a dream. She already exists, and she's waiting for you to notice. You do not have to carry the story alone anymore. You are allowed to feel safe. You are allowed to feel loved. You are allowed to emerge. This is the Freedom Within project, and it begins the moment you decide your peace matters. Take one last deep breath with me. Inhale hope and exhale everything that no longer serves you. Whisper quietly, I am free within. Thank you for being here, for listening, for beginning again. I hope to see you soon.